Like a lawyer.
Hey, fans of the Monday Movie Club. This week we're back to the MCU with the new series just ended this week, right? She-Hulk, Attorney at Law. With me today is Joel Hulk, Nerd at Large. I don't think you need to advertise that. Amy Goldman, who has glasses that make her look like a lawyer. There you go. Annie King, who's having a tag sale if you want to go run over there. And Mark G, who has no picture up, so that means he didn't like the show.
No, I was just running late.
Okay. Well, do it while we're waiting. Go right ahead.
No,
And
he didn't like
special
the show.
guest, special guest Nan Gelman, who hates everything about the MCU but comes to complain.
That's not true.
Oh my gosh, it's not true. Okay. Okay, so
Hawkeye.
I'm sorry.
I love Hawkeye.
Oh
You
yeah.
loved Hawkeye. Okay. That was 2 years ago. All right.
1 year ago.
1 year ago. She-Hulk is oh so close to being a good show, but it doesn't really commit to the 3 or 4 shows it's being all at once. Is it a comedy, a legal drama, a superhero, a romance? Is it like Fleabag, where she's breaking the fourth wall and chatting with us all the time? It's so inconsistent, no idea. And worse than that is the very distracting animation of the She-Hulk. It's really bad. I wish they would have waited till they perfected it, because it looks like this time it looks so animated, like she's floating, like she's not even walking. It's just weird. It's all a bit wonky, the animation. And like I said, it just seemed like it didn't know what it wanted to be, and I think it needed to be something more fourth wall breaking. I don't know, more committing to the legal bits, more glimpses into her being trying to be an everyday person, but and more She-Hulk, because what's her name? Tatiana Maslany. She's a great actress. What was that show she was in? She played 42 people.
Yeah.
She was so good in that show, playing all the different characters.
Orphan
And here I feel what was it?
Orphan Black.
Yeah. Yeah.
Unfortunately Black?
She was Orphan Black.
Black.
Operation what?
What character did she play?
Orphan Black.
Orphan Black. She was all of them. She was all the clones. She was amazing.
What, Nan?
Did you see Orphan Black?
I
Man?
loved Orphan Black.
Yeah, she
Yes,
was the
I loved
main
it.
lady. She played all of them, but here I'm afraid she doesn't really have a character. She's just trying to be herself, not as entertaining. And it's a half-hour series, so every episode doesn't feel like it's really. That was a very cute moment in the show, Mark G. It doesn't really feel like it's enough of anything. So the theme basically is that she doesn't really want to be a superhero, but and it's causing problems in her mundane life, and so then she's forced to adapt to it, come to terms with it, blah blah blah. So, and it's episodic, I think, kind of slice of life, and so then she gets hired to be a superhuman lawyer. But all the show really is a like a lighthearted sitcom. There's no great plot, there's no big stakes, there's really no drama going on, and no crazy consequences. The redeeming thing, of course, was the final episode. Was so fun, but at the same time, I'm like, wait a minute. They're like bringing their problems to us. They couldn't figure out an ending, so let's not have an ending. Let's just say we can't figure out an ending. And while it was very cute that Kevin was the computer and she broke into the room and reached in, so cute when she reached into, oh, I'll go into this show instead. Very cute, again, breaking the fourth wall. But at the end of the day, there was really no ending to the show. It was like, okay, we're done. And then the Hulk's nephew showed up. Son?
Son.
I don't know. And it was fun to see Daredevil in the show and their little romance. So I have to say this is my least favorite of all the Marvel series we've watched. I'm giving it 2.5 stars out of 4 stars. And Mark, you're nodding your head. What are you saying?
No, this is not. It's certainly not my favorite, but it's not my least favorite. My least favorite was Loki, I would say, and I'll definitely like this more than Loki.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, no, that's and I don't know. I agree with most of the things you said, Frank. That's why I was nodding along, but I still enjoyed it. I still found myself enjoying it a lot. And who knew all along that cousin Larry was She-Hulk's dad? Anybody who
Oh,
saw him
yeah,
when he
yeah.
first appeared? It took me a minute to realize that was him,
Oh,
Mark
funny.
Lynn-Baker. Yeah. I guess for me, I heard a lot of the criticisms along the way. Number one, it was too feminist. To me, that didn't bother me at all. It was a little heavy-handed. I mean, if you read, there's a lot of articles on it, a lot of people, but I think the people
Yes,
who were
but you
complaining,
know, Mark, until you walk the world with no testicles, you don't know what it's like.
I get it, but it was a little heavy-handed. But
Mark-
some
Mark-
people hate the show for it. I don't see how you would hate the show for it. I mean, there's a lot of shows that are misogynistic and you can still enjoy and so forth. You just have to, right?
And Mark, you're referring to, just that branch of toxic fandom that, pops up for everything that isn't.
Oh yeah, there are haters,
and-
of course.
No, but they get, if you are tapped into comic book or sci-fi fandoms, like I tend to be and Mark tends to be, you read too much of it, and it's just, yeah. Anyway,
Thank you, Joel. The second criticism to me was breaking the fourth wall. I normally loved it, and I really did enjoy it in this one too until the finale. It was a little bit. The finale was just a little bit too wonky for me, and it was a little bit too much for breaking the fourth wall. Otherwise, I found it very fun. And the third criticism was the CGI, which I do have to say, in the beginning, I found myself defending it, saying it's a show, it's not a movie, they can't spend all their money on it. But as it went along, it really did start to bother me a little bit more and more.
Well, Mark, I
else?
want to just say this about that. I thought it
Yep.
was fun too, but I think the real condemnation from you was that you were like, I don't want to watch it again.
Yeah, I thought you
Yeah.
were going to say you hated it.
No, definitely didn't hate it. My plan was I watched it on my own, not quite weekly, but I would watch it as it was going along, an episode here and there. And then I was going to rewatch the entire thing with Danielle. Now, Danielle watched the first episode with me and she's like, no, I'm out. And I was like, I rewatched it. And I remember really liking this first episode and I rewatched it and I was like, yeah, it wasn't as good as I remembered. So I'm not going to do the whole thing again. So that's how it went down. That's why I can't say I loved it. I couldn't even bring myself to watch it again, but I definitely did enjoy it. This was my first time seeing Daredevil in action, and I loved him. And I really enjoyed his Matt's relationship with Jen. I really thought that was very cute. She finally found a guy that I thought she gelled very well with him. Again,
what movie was he in? Was he in Love and Thunder?
no, he was in Spider-Man,
Spider-Man.
Oh, damn. Okay.
but only as Matt Murdock. You never saw him as Daredevil. So it's the first time I'm
Right.
seeing Daredevil actually fight. And I love the way that they had him move and so forth. And I know I told you guys this before, but I'll say it again that I love the mid-credit scene at the end of the first episode when she finds out that Captain America wasn't a virgin. Thought that was just the way her being drunk. That was hilarious. She-Hulk carrying her date to bed. That was also funny. And lastly, I have to say one word: Madison, with one eye and two ends, but not what you think. She
Why?
was hilarious comic relief. I actually went back and showed that I fast forwarded through that episode to show Danielle, and she enjoyed her as well. So I wish we had a little bit more Madison. Otherwise, I'm giving it 3 stars. I did enjoy it.
I actually read that they had filmed it out of order and they had filmed the last episode first, I think, is what I read. And so Madison wasn't even cast yet. So
Okay.
she wasn't in any other episodes because they weren't expecting to find this actress
Oh,
who
that's
they
great.
loved. So they would have given her more to do, but they had already shot the finale.
Yeah, I would have loved if she showed up in the finale. That would have been hilarious. Excuse me.
All right, Annie, you have to get back to your tag sale. So
Yes.
what do you want to say?
pretty much the same as Mark. I felt like it was fine. I was watching it, enjoying it. I was not a fan of the last episode. I thought that was just like such a cheap
A cop
shot at-
out. A cop
yeah,
out.
really. There were
I
parts that
also read Tatiana said that there were 18 versions of the final episode, and she only read 2 of them, and one was more dramatic, and one was the one they did. I'd be interested to see what the more dramatic one was.
Right. Are they doing another season?
Joel?
Nothing yet. My
Nothing
guess
yet.
is that they're not going to bring the character out and just do this one thing with her. She'll be back at some point. It just depends on the how and the when. So
Right. She
Right.
might make it into a movie, right? Isn't she supposed to be an Avenger soon?
I'm sure she'll wind up in, when in 2026 when they hit the 2 new Avengers movies, everybody will be in those again. So
So
Yeah.
when she was teasing throughout the series that, wait for the movie, or I'll be in the movie, or you'll see this in the movie, that was just kind of,
Just being funny.
well, they're trying to be funny, but at the same time, there's a reality to it. It's not like they just signed her for these 9 episodes and it's bye-bye. They've got her lock, stock, and barrel for a few years. It's just
Right.
they probably know what they're doing with her. They just probably haven't told us what they're doing with her yet.
Yeah.
So
Always the case.
I'm pretty much under the impression that if you're in a Marvel TV show, you're going to show up in a movie. If everything is so linked.
And I would imagine, based on a relationship with Daredevil, that she might show up in an episode of Daredevil when it starts up again.
Exactly.
Right. All right. So,
So-
Annie, final thoughts.
Yeah. I thought one of the funniest things was the Incredible Hulk intro.
Yes.
Yes.
That
Very
that I
cute.
thought-
Yeah, yeah,
Very
yeah.
cute.
I like that. And Luke Jacobson, like when he first, like, oh, you can't leave this sitting out here, where, and then I realized when I saw Daredevil, it was Daredevil's headpiece and stuff. Because at first I was like, whose hat is that? But so that,
Oh
that
yeah,
was kinda
yeah,
cute. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and the rest was, some of it was cute, and and I watched it. It was fun, so I'm giving it 3 stars. I didn't love it. I don't know if I would rewatch it, but I watched it. It was fun enough.
It was fun enough. How's that for a marquee? Nan, was it fun enough for you?
I know you think I hate everything.
Ah, I knew it.
Now, in fairness to me, I loved WandaVision. I'm sorry, Mark, I liked Loki better than I liked this. I actually liked Loki. Loved
did too.
Hawkeye.
I loved Loki.
Yeah, I
I
loved what about
Nan,
Captain and the Winter Soldier? That was a great one.
Yeah, Nan, I like Loki too. Just if I had to rank them, it's my least favorite.
And
Gotcha.
Nan, I don't remember you hating anything from Marvel. You're always on the more positive side of everything. So
You. My 2 least favorite were Ms. Marvel, and this one because of what you said, Frank. And yes, I'm going to agree with you. They didn't know where they were going with it. Was it a comedy? Was it a drama? They kind of were all over the world with it. And I don't think they ever caught its footing. My favorite scene, and you have to forgive me because I can relate to this scene, was when Daredevil and her were sitting at the family dinner and the parents were grilling him on, do you have a job? How much money you make? I just sat there going, that's my childhood.
Right.
And I did like when she broke it and she had the conversation with Kevin. I thought that was very cute. Between this and Miss Marvel, only because they kind of couldn't figure out where they were going, are my least favorite. I loved everything else, Frank.
I think Miss Marvel had a stronger grip on where they were going, what they were doing. But it would have been interesting maybe if each episode had a tone, a different tone. But to have all of them trying to encompass everything was a little much.
And I think they threw in the Hulk character just for the sake of trying to tie it into.
Well, we needed the origin story. We needed to know how she got the blood. So,
And
and
I
then
like,
training her was cute.
yes. And I like the end when you meet his son. It's like, okay, where did this come from? And are we going to find out now how this
Well-
person got to be his son?
I assume he came from a comic book.
Well, yeah.
They
But
don't
the
just make things
backstory.
up. Right.
I give it 2.5 stars.
See, you agree with me.
I know it's a strange world.
What does Cringer think?
Cringer
He
smack.
doesn't seem impressed.
No. And he's
Thumbs
hiding your
up.
boobs.
Thumbs up.
Aim, it's your turn.
Oh, I thought Joel would go since I'm tilted down.
Tilts
I-
up. All right.
Leave it there.
I wish I would have seen it the second time. As I said, I was going to. I watched episode 1 Friday night, and then yesterday I was going to watch all the rest of them because I didn't take notes and I can't remember anything. As you guys were talking, I was like, oh yeah, I remember that. That was fun. So I'm not going to really have a lot to say because I never got around to watching it, but I really like this one. I liked it a lot more than Miss Marvel. I thought it was just fun. And now that you're saying it didn't know what kind of show it was, I can completely see that, but I guess it didn't bother me during the show. Although, I did notice now we're in the law in the courtroom, and then this has nothing to do with anything, and the abominations, like where did he go? But then we saw what happened with him. But the character, who was the woman? The really weird looking woman who looked like Charo. What was that character?
Oh, Titania.
Yeah.
Wait, wasn't she on the
Titania.
Good Place? Wasn't she on the Good
Yeah,
Place?
Jamila Jamil.
Oh, okay. Yeah. What was the point of her in this show? She didn't go anywhere. I didn't understand that character at all. Did I miss something?
I think it's called a nemesis.
Yeah, she needed a nemesis.
It didn't come across like that. I mean, yes, she was a nemesis, but there was like no point to it at all. I hated that character. It's not that well, I hated the whole
Character.
storyline. Huh?
I loved that character. I thought she was great.
She was so annoying, and she looked like Charo. It annoyed me. And again, there was just no point to her.
Well, it's annoying if she never goes Gucci Gucci.
But I really enjoyed it. I just found the whole show to be a lot of fun. And I even liked episode 1 better after I watched it the second time. Because the first time I maybe I wasn't paying enough attention. I was like, all right already with the fighting and the teaching and wax on, wax off. But I liked it a lot more. So I wish I would have seen it, but now of course I won't. But I'm gonna give it 3.25 stars.
I think because, that first episode, you're trying just to figure out what the hell's going on. And so then you knew what was going on. So it resonated the second time.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
true.
even Mark watched the first episode twice. All right. 2.5 stars? What'd you say?
Three and a
Three and a
quarter.
quarter. Barry Hattrick doesn't like quarter stars.
Yeah.
All right, Joe.
All right, Barry, I'll give it
You know where
3.5
You
then.
know where he can put those quarter stars.
Joe Hope, nerd at large. I see a
Um,
little hulking in the background there.
Yeah, I was trying to find I have an omnibus version of John Byrne's She-Hulk run, and I couldn't find it, so I pulled some other hulky stuff.
An omnibus version. Look at
giant
they try and make
collection of-
comic books seem like they're important.
They are important. If they weren't important, you wouldn't have any of these movies, and we wouldn't be doing this. So there.
I'm trying to think where the downside is.
Oh, I could
Joel.
think of several. Anyway, Natasha and I we've been watching the Marvel shows weekly as they drop, and the intention is once it's over to go back and watch the whole
Yeah.
thing in one shot. Admittedly, we have not done that. I think Hawkeye was the last one we did that with. We didn't do it with. No, we did do it with Moon Knight. So Moon Knight was the last one we did that with. We haven't done it with
I really enjoyed
Marvel
Moon Knight, Jeff.
or this one. Of course,
Right.
this one we didn't really have the time because it just ended on
Just yesterday.
Wednesday, and you're kind of like, no, we're doing it this week instead of giving us the extra.
Give us another week.
Yeah, so
Yeah, I don't know why that happened.
I enjoyed it. It's having read through John Byrne's run of the character back in the 80s, this connects very well with that, and I didn't find it to be all over the place. To me, that's
So she addressed the
Oh
audience
yeah,
with the comics?
constant breaking of the fourth wall in the comic books.
Right.
And just a lot of fun and goofiness. It's definitely a great read. And I think that they incorporated as much as they could of all of that into this. Could it have been more fourth wall breaking? Probably. Could it have been less fourth wall breaking? Probably. I think
Well,
it depends on
it
how you
went in
feel about
such
that.
spurts. Like there would like be whole episodes where she only said one thing, and then that
Right.
last episode she wouldn't shut the hell up.
Right. Well, but I also think they were building towards things like that. If you think about in the first episode, it's really just that one moment where she turns to the camera and says something, and then she realizes she turned to the camera and said something and has
Right.
that what the hell's going on look. And even Mark Ruffalo is like,
What is she
okay.
doing?
Yes, yes.
I love
So was Daredevil her boyfriend?
not in the comics. She
No.
actually dated Luke Cage for a while. So that would have been interesting if they had brought him back for this, but
Right.
they're not ready to do that yet. So we have Daredevil. We're trying to build him up right now. Let's get him in there. And I
Right.
think it works brilliantly to the point where there's the episode where they're fighting. There's a callback to an episode of Daredevil, and it's easily one of the best fight scenes ever put on screen in Daredevil, where he just beats the living crap out of these goons in a hallway. It's brilliantly shot. It's brilliantly choreographed. It's a highlight of that series. And there's a scene in this where he's in a hallway, there's some goons, and he's about to throw down with them, and she comes smashing in and takes care of it. And I was like, that's the way to do it. I mean, it really just
Great.
Yeah.
it's part of that.
Only a nerd at large would get that.
Yeah,
reference.
well, there's a lot of things that a nerd at large would have gotten. There's an appearance by a group of villains called the Wrecking Crew in this series that a lot of comic book fans love. They're goofy as all get out. They're basically like construction workers with Asgardian powered tools. A crowbar, a jackhammer, and they're goofy. And the fact that they showed up in this series, even for that one scene, until you saw
Right.
the record again later at Emil's retreat,
Right.
I thought was brilliant.
Joel,
Well,
didn't
they
they
weren't
beat
so goofy here.
They were still pretty goofy. They attacked her and she kicked their asses.
am I wrong? Didn't they beat the crap out of She-Hulk in Secret Wars? That gang?
Yes, they did. Yes.
Yeah, that's why I think they brought him in. Yeah.
And then like all
And
the
isn't that coming up, Secret Wars?
Oh yes.
yeah,
I'm
but
waiting for that.
I doubt we're going to see the Wrecking Crew by the time we get
Yeah, I agree.
or the fact that Emil Blonsky's retreat is completely filled with Z-list villains from the Marvel universe. I thought was a lot of fun and goofy. I feel
So like Porcupine?
yeah, Porcupine, Man,
Is it real?
those are
thing?
all real comic book characters.
Oh, that's funny. I just thought they made them up for this.
Nope.
I know.
Does Emil really have a retreat and he's like a changed
No,
person?
no. The Abomination, and that's one of the. I don't know whether I like it or don't like it. It depends on where they're going with it at this point. What they've done to Emil Blonsky. I appreciate the attempts at rehabilitation. I'm just not sure what the end game result is supposed to be. I loved the fact that when the fight was about to go down at the very end of the series, that Emil was actually protecting Jennifer, and Bruce was like, no, get away from my cousin, and about to attack him because that's their relationship, but that Emil is trying to be a better person. But again, I want to know what the end game to all that, because I was literally expecting, once it was a little obvious, once you knew who the villain was, oh, all right, they're at the Abomination's retreat, so how is he involved in this? And I was pleasantly surprised that he wasn't actually involved in it in any way other than I'm making a profit by doing, speeches.
Right.
I enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. I do want to watch it again at some point, but I don't know when that's going to happen. I'm curious to see where they take her as a character. I don't know that continuing the fourth wall breaking, if there's a second season, makes a lot of sense at this point. They've kind of taken it to its ultimate conclusion, really. By going in that Blazing Saddles feel of an
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
um,
And
But-
so I also that when she said, and when are we getting that X-Men movie?
right, yes.
Very cute.
I as I said, I enjoyed it. I'm gonna go with Amy and give it 3.25 stars. There was something else.
Hey, Joel, I have a question for you. As a former reader, the She-Hulk I know was always in a She-Hulk form. She was never Jen, a little person.
Right.
Is that something I just made up for this, or is that a story as well?
No, it's happened over the years. It depends on the writers and who's writing her. And
So she never had an origin story?
no, she had an origin story.
So then she
Once
must have
she
been
got her
Jen,
powers, she's a
but she
7 foot
never
tall
went
Hulk.
back. She never went
Yeah,
back.
there's a lot of stories where she's just always in Hulk form and never goes back and forth. There was a time period in the 80s, as I said, John Byrne had written and drawn her book for a while, and he was also doing the Fantastic Four, and she was actually a member of the Fantastic Four after Secret Wars because she replaced the Thing for a while, and she was always in her Hulk form in that. So
I also saw a picture of Tatiana in her motion capture outfit. She did all the scenes. And then there was this like fake thing on her head so that you knew to look up here to look at her face.
they also
I'm
had
like, oh, that's interesting.
they also
Yes.
had a stunt woman on set who was much. I mean, I don't want to say she's 6'7", but
6'5.5" she was.
6'5.5". All right,
Yeah.
she was almost 6'7".
Yeah.
Painted green and there to do eyeline matches and stuff as well. So,
Amazing what they can do today.
yeah, and just quickly touch on the CGI. You're like the CGI is terrible, and I'm sitting here going, it's not like it was 8-bit CGI, where it's 1979.
Wow. I mean, Joel,
you're
we
watching
come
Star
to
Wars with-
expect a lot more.
I do expect
And
a lot more, but I'm
this
also
was definitely disappointing.
to me it was like, all right, this is what they're working with. I'm gonna move on because there's nothing that's gonna change it. Marvel, unfortunately, is tossing a shitload of money at the computer programmers that do this, working them around the clock. They're starting to get
Yeah.
tired and complaining about it because it's like, you have a deadline that we have forced on you, even though there's
Right.
no rational reason for it. So,
I mean, they could have just animated the whole show and been the Birdman at Law. Birdman at Law. What was that show? Harry somebody? Harvey.
Harvey Birdman, attorney at law.
There you go. Could have just been that.
It could have been, but
All right. Any last thoughts? Are we good? No, that's it. All right. Next week, it's Annie's Choice National Treasure 2004, which is also available on Disney Plus. I've never seen it. And obviously, if you want to watch She-Hulk, it's on Disney Plus too. So that's it. I'm Frank Gaffney. Watch a movie.
Or TV show.
Thanks for being here, Nan.
Thank you for
Bye.
having me.